By the way, guys, this is my first video. Hope you will appreciate my work and help me to grow in this platform. Do you still know me? I asked. The woman looked at me searchingly. She had opened the door a kink. I came closer and stood on the step. No, I don't know you. I am Mrs. S. daughter. She held my hand on the door. Ash thought she wanted to prevent it opening any further. Her face gave absolutely no sign of recognition. She kept staring at me in silence. Perhaps I was mistaken. I thought perhaps it isn't her. I had seen her only once, and that was years ago. It was most probable that I had rung the wrong bell. The woman let go of the door and stepped to the side. She was wearing my mother's green knitted cardigan. The wooden buttons were rather pale from washing. She saw that I was looking at her cardigan and half hid herself again behind the door. But I knew now that I was right. Well, you know my mother, I asked. Have you come back? Said the woman. I thought that no one had come back, only me. A door opened and closed in the passage behind her. A musty smell emerged. I regret I cannot do anything for you. I have came here specially on the train. I wanted to talk to you for a moment. It is not convenient for me now, said the woman. I can't see you another time. She nodded and cautiously closed the door as thought no one inside the house should be disturbed. I stood where I was on the step. The curtains in front of the bay window moved. Someone stared at me and would then have asked what I wanted. Oh, nothing, the woman would have said. It was nothing. I looked at the number plate again. Darling, it said, in black letters on white enamel, and on the jamb, a little higher, the number 46. As I walked slowly back to the station, I thought about my mother, who had given me the address years ago. It had been in the first half of the war. I was home for a few days and it struck me immediately that something on other about my rooms had changed. I missed various things. My mother was surprised I should have noticed so quickly. Then she told me about Mrs. Darling. I had never heard of her, but apparently she was an old acquaintance of my mother, whom she hadn't seen for years. She suddenly turned up and renewed their contact, since they had come regularly. Every time she leaves here, she takes something home with her, said my mother. She took all the table silvers in one go, and then the antique plaques that hung there. She had trouble lugging those large vases, and I am worrying she got a creak in her back from the crockery. My mother shook her head pityingly. I would never have dared ask her. She suggested it to me herself. She even insisted. She wanted to save all my nice things. If we have to leave here, we shall lose everything, she says. Have you agreed with her that she should keep everything? I ask. As if that's necessary, my mother cried. It would simply be an insult to talk like that. And think about the risk she's running each time she goes out of the door with a full suitcase or bag. My mother seemed to be noticed that I was not entirely convinced. She looked at me reapprovingly, and after that we spoke no more about it. Meanwhile, I had arrived at the station without having paid much attention to the things on the way. I was walking in the familiar places again for the first time since the war, but I did not want to go further than was necessary. I didn't want to upset myself with the sight of streets and houses full of memories from a precious time. In the train back, I saw Mrs. Darling in front of me again, as I was had the first time meet her. It was the morning after the day my mother had told me about her. I had got up late and coming downstairs, I saw my mother about to see someone out, a woman with a broad back. "There is my daughter," said my mother. She beckoned to me. The woman nodded and picked up the suitcase under the coat rack. She wore a brown coat and a shapeless hat. "Does she live far away?" I asked, seeing the difficulties she had going out of the house with the heavy case. "Yes, in the Marconi Street," said my mother. "Number 46. Remember that." I had remembered it, but I had waited a long time to go there. Initially, after the liberation, I was absolutely not interested in all the stored stuff, and naturally, I was also rather afraid of it. Afraid of being confronted with things that I had belonged to a connection that no longer existed, which were hidden away in cupboards and boxes, and waiting in vain until they were put back in their places again, which had endured all those years, because they were just things. But gradually, everything became more normal again. Bread was getting to be lighter color. There was a bed you could sleep in unthreatened. A room with a view you can more used to glancing at each days. And one day I noticed I was curious about all the positions that must still be at that address. I wanted to see them, touch them, and remember them. After my first visit in the van to Mrs. Darling's house, I decided to try a second time. Now a girl of about 15 opened the door to me. Who was the girl? What happened after that? Do she find the answer of her question? Does she get back her mother's belonging? Stay tuned for the next part. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe my channel. The next part will be posted in a few days. Thanks for watching.